I guess my biggest question is maybe it's because I'm younger and growing up, like I just kind of always knew there had to be extraterrestrials. So to me, disclosure doesn't feel like a very big deal. And I feel like to my age group, disclosure doesn't feel like a very big deal. But to other people, and I understand that like the system, like you can even talk about it like 25 years ago. So to the older generations, is this really shocking?
Yeah. So let me give you a little background. Like my dad, he's what, in his 70s, he's like 75. Like his generation, they didn't even talk about it really, they were connected with like, I feel like the evolution, like where we were, like even 50 years ago to where we are now, like we have like grown so much. And it's such a, like the baseline then and the mentality of thinking was so different than now. And like now, like my dad would never even talk about it. My grandmother was one of the first like the first wave of volunteers. I don't know if you know more about that, but she actually was abducted several times and no one would believe her. And this was a time where like no one talked about it. Like you didn't talk about Roswell, nothing happened. The government said nothing happened. People believed them. Okay, nothing happened. And then she was abducted several times and she started having these little things like wires come out of her pores, like these small macroscopic wires. And like National Geographic came and investigated her. My whole family said she was crazy. My whole family. And then later on, when she got dementia, my family was like, see, she had dementia. She was crazy. Like they didn't want to hear it. So my grandmother never got to speak her truth besides to me as a child and have people go like, yeah, that's a possibility, and now like fast forwarding to where we are now with disclosure, like my dad and I go out, he lives in the mountains. When I go visit him, we go out on Saturday nights and we look for UFOs. Like it's come so far from that place of where my grandmother was crazy, literally, in her own family who loved her unconditionally's mind, to now where we're at, where we can go out in the evening and look for UFOs in the sky. So I think it really is for the older generation to break that way of thinking.
Have you connected with your grandma um after her passing to figure out like what happened? Like did she have contracts with these beings?
Yes. So we could always connect with her and ask her about her contracts. From what I understand, she did. So she was there and part of her purpose was to open up the conversation for me to kind of guide me because I spent so much time with her as a kid because my parents worked, so we would sit out on the swing. She'd tell me all about all these things. And I was a kid. So of course I believed her because in my heart, it resonated true. And I didn't have anyone telling me, I didn't have the matrix telling me not to believe her. And so her contract was to help because the galactics didn't know fully what was going on at that time. It would be like if you watched a TV and you tried to understand what the actors were feeling in that moment in that scene. They could only get so much information. And so her contract was to come into the earth to send up information of what it was really like to be a human being during that time. Because they had no other way of really feeling it, because they had to ascend, or they had to come down here into an earth body to get that information up to the galactics to tell them like what was really going on and what was needed to help earth. They had no idea we were in such bad shape.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that would be cool just to know like more of what the actual contracts were and like what beings they were with.
Yeah, no,
I
I
love
totally,
all of that.
for sure, for sure. Yeah, I would love to do that and explore that more because when she comes through, it's very sweet too. So I always love
Yeah.
being with her. And yeah, I mean, but I find it like such a gift for, like you saying, for your age, that you never even thought like it wasn't a possibility. I think that's beautiful because we've come a far way, like a long ways.
Yeah, I agree. And I'm so excited for the new generation. It's going to be so beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. just to not have that doubt, that seed of doubt.
Yeah, exactly. And then just the new kids coming in, they are going to have like all their spiritual abilities, and nobody is going to be telling them that they're crazy, and it's going to be absolutely beautiful, and they're going to be so powerful, and I'm so excited.
I know. I always call that my freak flag. Like I love my freak flags, and I just love that everybody will be able to, and it won't be a freak flag anymore. It's just like your fun flag. I guess I should rename it. With the positive, like alternative to it, but just like your fun flag. Like what's your fun thing that you can do? What's your fun thing? Like what's your gift? What's your passion? Like that's going to be so exciting to see people connect with, and just have fun in life again, you know?
Yeah, definitely. So I also thought that the part about dentistry was really cool because, like I said, I do body visualization and it's been so powerful, but I never really thought about my teeth, but it definitely makes sense.
Yeah, for sure. And it kind of like the way they were showing it to me was it wasn't really you manifesting anything. It was you were time traveling.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, you know, in the back of my mind, I was like, well, that makes sense. But then why can't we just snap our fingers and kind of like, because, you know, when you do these sessions, I don't think people know, but like you're transmitting the information that you're getting, but they're giving you so much more behind the scenes, like in your mind's eyes, or just the knowings, or there's like 20 different things going on as you're like channeling this information. So like as they're showing me this information, I'm actually having a conversation, asking them questions as I'm transmitting, because my curiosity is like kind of, you know, in the back seat asking questions. And it was just like, no, you're time traveling. You're accessing that dimension. And it's just like phenomenal that, but they're like, but we need you to feel it, you know, for sure that like it's normal. We can't freak you out when we do this. And that's why it can't be instant manifestation. I mean, that makes sense, right? Like, okay, yeah, we probably would be freaked out if like tomorrow I'm the body that I think I am before I look at all my pictures.
Yeah, definitely. That or
I,
people would get like very carried away with it.
yeah, for sure. And like, yeah, we're not ready, right? Like we have to walk, like as a baby, we have to learn to crawl before we walk. Like they have to spoon feed it to us in a way where it's like, no, you can't do that. You can't be a, you know, a dinosaur tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
But
Oh,
yeah,
I also thought that the fires in Maui was really cool because um just Maui releasing that density made a lot of sense to me.
yeah, yeah. Um,
And I feel
yeah,
like people see Maui and Hawaii as like this paradise. So to a lot of people, I'm sure they're probably like, why would you have to release density from there? But just to think of like what's going to grow out of Maui after the fires is going to be beautiful because it's already a paradise.
yeah, like the regeneration for sure.
Yeah.
And they're like showing me right now a little bit because that like it was either the fires or a volcano.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it was going to happen one way or another. Like the release was going to happen. And maybe a volcano would have been more destructive, like a lower timeline type of thing, you know, where I understand people's lives have been lost. And like, I understand that, you know, it's not a place that a lot of those people want to be right now. But I also believe that, you know, if they had to go about it and it was going to be worse, where it was going to be more chaos and more destruction, that like, I think that would have lowered the vibration of the earth. So they had to figure out the best way to alchemize that area with the least amount affected.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, but I liked the fact that they were like, you know, this is an opportunity for community to come together, because I think that's an important lesson in tragedies as well, that we sometimes forget, is that we have an opportunity for it to go, you know, south or north. And in those times, people can come together and really find a higher vibration.
Yeah,
to
and
really,
it's just sorry,
yeah,
but I just feel like it's perspective. So it's like, how can we change our perspective of what's happening right now to a more positive and beautiful perspective? Because if we sit here um and just think about like, oh my God, the wars, oh my God, the fires, oh my God, all these things are happening on our planet, that's just gonna cause us to sit in fear and anxiety. But if we switch our perspective to we're just transitioning and transmuting all of this dense energy and look at how beautiful this world is going to be after this transition. I feel like that's an extremely important mindset to have right now.
yeah. And it kind of goes like exactly what you're saying goes back to what they were saying about regenerating a tooth. Same thing, right? Like you want to embody the future you want to see. You want to put that. And so when we're focused on the negative, how can we, that's part of like how we were kind of entrapped here, is because a lot of bad stuff happened. So we are always worried that bad stuff was going to happen. So we actually manifested to be on the timeline where bad stuff happened instead of us like envisioning the beauty and the greatness and the regeneration and the love and all of that. Like when you put that in that vibration out in the world, like that's the future that we're going to see. That's the timeline we're going to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always say that, like, if you personally, on an individual level, want to take a quantum leap, just stop watching the news. That is the best way for your vibration to actually take a quantum leap, because now you're not um constantly feeling the fear and the anxiety that you want to feel. So now you can like project and actually live in the frequency that you want to live in.
Yeah, I love that. Like that's why I guess predictive programming, because they were able to predict and control the frequency of what timeline you're on by you constantly feeding that into your brain. So yeah, like turn it off and live in the present. Like, I mean, it's easier said than done. Like, trust me, I struggle with it. And I've noticed that that's been a lesson for me this past month, is just, I've seen like shit's wonky. Like it's
Yeah.
weird. It's weird in a good way. Like the other day writing affirmations, and like I was like, I want more abundance in my friends and family and laughter together. Like immediately my girlfriend called me and was like, want to come over? And I'm like, holy shit. That happened, you know? But like I'm not surprised, but it's still, I'm like seeing so many of those synchronicities right now of just thoughts becoming reality. And I think we're really being shifted to like, it's exciting, but then you have to really be mindful of those other thoughts and negative ones too, and not like when you hear those ones come in, like be able to just center yourself and like cancel those negative ones out, you know, and be like, nope, not feeding that one. But it's pretty
Yeah,
cool.
definitely.
Yeah. But
Was there anything else that you thought was really powerful?
I just thought the part about the like energy being neutral, there is really no good or bad energy. It's the intention behind the energy. I think that's like goes along with all this too, is that, um, you know, I mean, how are you going to move that energy? Like what is going to propel it? Is it going to be negativity or is it going to be positivity? And they didn't even seem like neutrality was such a bad thing, but it's more of a stagnant type of energy. So, you know, that we are more powerful than we think is pretty profound, because like just you're the creator of that reality you want to attune to. So you know, just constantly refocusing to that positivity and to unconditional love.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Yeah.
completely agree.
Yeah. And I thought it was cute because you were excited to talk to the Arcturians. Like,
I
hey,
just love
friend.
them. Like I was just an Octurian for so long that like they really do just feel like my family. Like I don't
Yeah.
even care like who comes through. It's just like I know that that's family.
Yeah. 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 They're, I always feel like I mean, they're funny, but sometimes they're also very like pushy in their messages, but they're funny and they do provide they do provide a lot of explanations. So sometimes when they're explaining things, I'm like, I'll check in later. I'll re-listen to it because it's a little confusing for me right now.
Yeah, when I'm channeling them, I'll start questioning. I'm like, is this making sense? And then I'll re-listen to it and it will like make perfect sense. So
Sure. You're like, okay, yeah, they did know what they were doing, but
yeah.
yeah, I mean, I think that this is definitely beautiful work and provides beautiful healing. And, I think that it's a gift that we have that we were able to do this today.
I thought it was really cool that all those other beings were there, like remote viewing it.
Yeah. You know what it reminded me of? Like I was in the void. Have you seen those old surgical units where, like, like the old times, like in the 20s when they do an operation and there'd be the stadium seating up above, like in the round,
Yeah.
everyone would be sitting up there just watching the surgery. That's what it felt like. Like I was in the middle and the remote viewers were all in the bleachers up above, just kind of, and all I could see were their heads looking down at me. It's like we're all here, and I just look up and my whole circumference like filled with heads. It was really cool. Like, okay, you're like, who's here? And I'm like, I don't know who that guy is. I don't know who that guy is. But they're all here.
Has that happened before?
No.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. They were all like, we're here. We're ready. What information do you want? And I felt like whatever collective it was that we had the information for, they were there ready to step forth.
Yeah,
So
I love that. And
maybe
that's what I think like what that's the message that I love sharing is that we have so much support around us. Like our soul family is huge. And then we also have all these other beings that have just been so invested in Earth that just want to help in the ascension. And we can call on them for anything that we could ever think of for their help. And it is so beautiful.
for sure. Yeah, I do love that. Yay. Well, this was,
Amazing. Yeah, thank
yeah,
you so much for doing this with me today.
absolutely. Absolutely. And